all please rise for the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Davidson?
Mr. Mikowski?
Here.
Ms. Rinaldi?
Here.
Ms. Wilk?
Here.
Mr. Lambert?
Here.
Ms. Crotty?
Here.
Mr. Vincenzi?
Here.
Ms. Rosa? Mr. Gambardella?
Here.
Ms. Albino?
Here.
Mr. Dika?
Here.
Thank you very much. Board members should have received in their packets on Friday minutes from the regular Board of Ed meeting from December 12th. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the board approve of the minutes from the December 12th, 2016 meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item E on the agenda, award recognition. Thank you all for being here this evening. We have a few additions to our awards presentation this evening. Although Dr. Cardamola is getting ready for our Judson students, we have a little bit of change in the direction of our meeting. We begin the awards part of our agenda by recognizing one of our own, Dr. Bridget Cardamola.
I was getting a little nervous, I'll be honest with you. If we were all here to tell me about not having a delay on Friday, I just was going to put my face down on the desk.
The meeting's, it's early yet. It is with great pleasure, and I truly mean that I share with you that Dr. Cardamola has been appointed by the House Majority Leader of the Connecticut General Assembly to the Connecticut Advisory Council for Teacher Professional Standards. Dr. Cardamola was selected as one superintendent representative on the Advisory Council from over 160 superintendents in the entire state. For those of you who are not aware, this council plays a very important role in educational improvement in our state. They pinpoint, study, and bring greater visibility to critical educational matters, and they advise and make policy recommendations to the Governor's Office, the Education Committee of the General Assembly, and the State Board of Education. We are most proud of your accomplishment and recognize you for your breadth of knowledge and your outstanding leadership that has surely led to this prestigious appointment. Please welcome to the podium Representative Eric Berthel, who would like to say a few words.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for the opportunity to speak tonight. You pretty much summed it up, but I will say this, Dr. Cardamola, I was absolutely thrilled when when Representative Ritter told me that he had appointed you, and I was even more excited when I learned that you had accepted the appointment. You know, I'm a little biased. You know, I'm a big Dr. Cardamola fan and have been from, I think, probably the first time that I met you when you interviewed for our open position as high school principal. But what I've seen since then is just exceptional leadership, your breadth of knowledge, what you bring to the job, what you brought to the job as our high school principal, what you bring every day to your role as the superintendent. And that has been, thus far, really for the benefit of the good people of the town of Watertown. With your appointment to this council, that knowledge now gets extended to the good people of our great state. And I can't think of a better way for you, who I know has about as much free time as a lot of the rest of us, which is to say very little. I can't speak to how much that means to me that you would volunteer to share your knowledge, share your wealth. What we have witnessed very effectively in the last few years here in Watertown is your uncanny ability, with the help of this entire Board of Education, to recognize the needs of our children, the desires of our staff, right, and at the same time to balance that with respect for the taxpayers. And I think that now you will bring that same level of expertise, that same level of caring and skill to the people of our great state. And quite honestly, we need a lot more of that in Connecticut right now. So I congratulate you. On behalf of the General Assembly, I welcome you to the committee, and I can't wait to see you in Hartford one of these days and to hear about your contributions to that council. So congratulations.
Thank you. not one for surprises, as people know, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Representative Berthel. Now, with all due respect to your appointment, because that's kind of a big deal, there is a much larger, more significant event that takes place today.
Oh, no.
Your birthday. Thank you for spending it with all of us.
What else would I do?
The Board of Education thought long and hard about what to give Dr. Cardamola for her birthday today. And on behalf of all of us, we decided to engage the youngest students of our district and put a book together for you in honor of your birthday, which Mr. Vicenzi will give to you for your reading pleasure later this evening. For we know at the heart of everything you do is our students in Watertown. In honor of a day that we are all extremely grateful for, please welcome Swift students Olivia Bendler, Melanie Bovin, Grace Brown, Lyra Senka, Kelly Duffany, Jordan Elliott, Adriana Rinaldi, Alyssa Rozowski, and Izzy Sorendria, accompanied by Ms. Katie Cummings.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Cardamola. Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Cardamola. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Goodness.
Happy birthday, Dr. Cardamola. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Ms. Cummings, students from Swift, and to Mrs. Lurs, my little secret that she kept for me, and thank you for helping to orchestrate that. I'm sure Dr. Cardamola is thrilled.
Fabulous.
Thank you very much. Now, on to students. Okay?
Wow, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tonight, we are pleased to have Judson Elementary School students with us, and we would like to congratulate the following students for being recognized as Stars of the Month. They were awarded for this for their excellent citizenship for the month of December. And we'll be reminded when we see them that good citizens are children who respect others, respect other people's properties, their opinions. They're considerate children and always willing to put others first. They're good listeners and they're hard workers. They're well-mannered, helpful to others, and willing to learn. And you're here tonight because the Board of Education is extremely proud of all of you. So congratulations on being the Star of the Month for December. Dr. Cardamola is going to call your name, and we're going to ask you to come up to receive a special certificate from the Board of Education. And then we're going to ask you to stick around over there for a moment so we can take your picture. Okay? Good. Dr. Cardamola?
Okay, we'll start with our fifth graders and parents, grandparents, family members. At the end of that table, sometimes we forget to tell you this, so I'll tell you up front, our agendas are there for the evening, our public agenda, and your names are there. So if you haven't picked one up before now, on your way out, make sure you get one because it's another keepsake of having been here tonight. So for grade 5, we'll start with Zachary Butler. Congratulations, Zach.
Nice job, Zach. Keep up the good work.
And also Talia Sola. Congratulations.
Great job. You're welcome.
Grade 4, he couldn't be here with us tonight, but I'll recognize him anyway. Dean LeMay. also grade 4, Jenna Sherrill. Congratulations, Jenna. In grade 3, Jace Kiernan. Hi, Jace. Great job, Jace. Congratulations. And also in grade 3, Sarah McGowan.
We're going to pause for a brief moment so we can be photographed with the amazing stars of the month. So parents, if we could start to get in the middle of the room, we'll give you all an opportunity to take photos.
That way, you have a better, right?
Yeah. Forward a bit.
That way, you get that. Come here, guys.
We'll take a moment to take a photo with them after this.
Okay, so let's see. Let's try to move in the middle, guys, all right? So that everybody can get you? Yeah, listen, you guys take one step forward so that we can fit all these guys behind you. How about that, okay? One more. All right. We're a little lopsided. How about one step this way, you guys? All right. All right, we have a system, parents, to make sure you get the photos you want. We'll look to the left, then we'll look in the middle, and then we'll look to the right. Okay, all right, everybody, so this way, right here. All right, let's go to the right a little bit so we get this side.
They're all on, there's a bunch on the table. Somebody will gather them up.
Just go, I'm like, are you gonna come home from the mall? We just have like 2 days, like for Christmas. And then I went down to Atlantic City to So, but yeah, no, I don't, maybe we'll see, maybe we'll be home in like 5 months. Maybe, maybe. I
Wow,
will.
that was
Good seeing you.
fabulous.
Yeah, I will. Hi, how are you? Where is he now? He's in Atlantic City. That's why I was down there for, everybody thinks I'm on vacation.
Just thank you. Yes, yes.
Leaving home again.
Okay. Oh my God, they're so cute.
All right. Crowd has thinned. We are on item F, report from Student Council Representative.
Thank you. At John Trumbull, the PTSO had their holiday fundraisers where students were able to purchase gifts for family members. At Polk Elementary School, students will begin taking the DRAs and 4 subtests in Ames Web throughout January for winter benchmarks. The third and final session of co-teacher training with special education and general education teacher counterparts working cooperatively took place and will soon be implemented in the 2017-2018 school year. At Judson Elementary School, class-based spelling bees were held, with winners moving on to a school-wide bee, and the winner of that participating in a local bee held at St. Joseph University. Teachers will also begin conducting winter benchmarks through Ames Web and DRAs. At Swift Middle School, members of the Watertown High School Chamber Choir, alongside Mrs. Poliquin, met the members of the 8th grade chorus learning a new song together. The high school students answered questions and provided information for those interested. In the last month, the Swift Peace Pals and the Swift staff earned $1,500 through fundraising, providing 74 Swift students with anonymous gift cards for the holidays. And here at Watertown High School, our link crew will be running the cocoa and cramming for the freshman students tomorrow after school, with freshmen being able to get academic support from upperclassmen prior to midterm exams. And last but not least, about 62% of seniors have applied to college, and many more have sent in multiple applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item G, Superintendent's recommendations and report.
Thank you. Just realizing how long it's been since we've actually had a board meeting as I was trying to put the update together, but thank you. Mr. Dika, allow me to be a little bit briefer. One, as I mentioned, would happen, my regular school visits have really gotten back underway because, as you know, although I was out in the schools, in trying to meet with the nearly 500 staff members that we had, a lot of the first few months were taken up meeting with folks, much more so than visiting classrooms and so on, although I didn't quite do it in what I would call my normal way. And over the last few weeks, I've now been able to do that again. I've been out in all 5 schools, and I've been resuming classroom visits and meetings with administration and so forth, so I feel good about that, it's a little bit more what I would call normalcy for me and for my ability to stay connected with the teaching and learning that's going on in the district. Another thing that we are happy to have gotten back underway is our 3-year technology plan. For many years, the state has required districts to have a technology plan, and for the most part, that often meant, in many districts, for many years, filling in the lines, crossing the Ts, dotting the Is, and talking about what you were going to do related to technology education. We have had a technology plan in the district for years. However, I would say that from this point forward, what our technology plan will look like will be a little bit different and more comprehensive, more about what the district vision is for the use of technology over the next 3 years, and also giving some consideration to how it gets implemented very specifically within the district and within the 5 schools. So thank you to Dr. Parlato and Mr. Turner, who have begun this work, and it should be a joint project between the 2 of them, since much of it is related to curriculum instruction and obviously to technology. This is something we've been talking about, and we've had many conversations about the path forward, but this is now to be solidified in a plan, which I think will help guide our focus as we move forward and ensure that all of our teachers, staff, students, and parents understand what technology is to be used for in this district in relation to enriching teaching and learning, not just the use of technology. That's the real point of putting together this plan. It's been long enough that I'll just mention that I did, this is long ago in the paper and to the board at this point, but just would like to thank again John Trumbull and my kindergarten teachers for working with our students to design the holiday card, because it has been that long since we were here. Once again, we presented that to a kindergartner, Ava Blum, at John Trumbull, and that was a really great day right before we left for the Christmas break. And it's amazing how much better they all were, even in the second year, you know, what we would call version 2.0 of the contest to create the district holiday card. It was an incredibly difficult decision. Matter of fact, we almost had a runner-up and then two runners-up, and then I started to say, well, maybe we could just have a box of cards, you know, an assorted box of cards, and we could just use all of their designs. And in the end, we went with what we had told them and made a very tough choice to select Ava's. So thank you again to everyone, John Trumbull, who helped us to do that. Just from a community standpoint, it's that time of year when the Watertown Oakville Crime Stoppers puts together their annual fundraiser, so you'll be hearing a little bit more about that. They've done the pasta dinner with the police department for years. They're doing that in addition to the other fundraiser that was the new one for this year, and I'm mentioning that just because the board, you know, I'm on that board, and we have met to begun planning for that, and I think we'll be doing things a little bit differently there this year. As you know, we have a posting for a new school resource officer. I have spoken with Chief Gavalis. That posting closes at the police department on Friday, so I expect that we will have a resource officer in the schools back with us full-time in the school within the next 2 weeks, which is perfect timing because we are beginning to do the security plan audits again. A more brief version of them because, as you know, we did what we did in the last 2 years and revamped the plans significantly in some areas. But regardless, we will be going through them with the safety committees again. And in part, one of the things that we will really be looking at is some standardization regarding visitors and coming in and leaving the buildings. That's just something that we believe needs a little bit of attention, and I don't mean that to say that people are let into the buildings without proper protocols, but what I am saying is that that's another area that we are looking to standardize a little bit, because as you know, when you go to different schools, depending on the setup and the staffing and so on, how you check in and check out is not exactly the same, and we would prefer that it was. So that's one of the things that this committee will be looking at as they audit plans this year. Likewise, they are still continuing the labeling of the closed caption television system at the police department. It's there, it's fully functional, it is usable in an emergency, but we have been renaming all of the cameras so that they mean the same thing to the police department that they mean to the school district, and that has been a tremendous undertaking, and this new resource officer will be completing that. I would say it's 70% complete with Mr. Senecola. We stalled that and waited because our resource officer has to be involved in that process. And so for the last few weeks, we have stopped that in waiting for a new one. So I'm glad that Chief Gavalis has had the posting. They're going through the process there, and we'll be able to move forward in a couple of ways that we were on hold. Other piece I wanted to speak just a little bit about is some more of the work that we have been doing with our mathematics consultant. Wrong guy. I'm looking at two different things here. Consultant obviously is the wrong word. And by this point, I can just say Ms. Archibald, because I think you heard her name so many times at one of the other board meetings and finally got to put a name with a face. Dr. Parlato and Ms. Archibald over the last couple of weeks have been working very closely, specifically with Polk and Judson, developing some new variety of assessments in mathematics in grades 3 to 5, using the Smarter Balanced interim assessments to kind of measure where they are at this point and prepare them for the online testing, which is timely for me to bring up at this board meeting because it will be starting sooner than later, and we've been ensuring that our students are ready from the technology perspective and also the ability to work on the computer through the online versions of these exams. And so Dr. Parlato and Ms. Archibald have done quite a bit of work with that in grades 3, 4, 5 over the course of the entire year, but especially in the last few weeks. Also working together and alongside Mr. Turner to figure out the best ways to integrate these Chromebooks that we have continued to purchase for grades 3, 4, 5 into instructional practices. Because again, we are buying the technology to enrich the instruction and to truly ensure that it's being used in a way that is a tool, not just a piece of technology in a classroom. So there's been quite a bit of work going on there, in particular with mathematics. And I thank Dr. Parlato and Ms. Archibald and Mr. Turner for that. And likewise, it's hand in hand. It's how do we use the Chromebooks, and also what kind of instructional strategies go along with this kind of technology. So it's really a melding of those together. Also, if you note on the agenda, there are a lot of our appointments that are here are simply, our midway through the year appointments related to coordinators. There was retirement. We have a temporary worker that we've brought in for maintenance, and we've had a few transfers in the custodial department. Mr. Sturgis, for example, is now permanently, the bidding process, if you will, that goes along with their contract is over for that particular position, and so he will be permanent now at Polk. He had left Swift, and so then you see the shifting begins. It's a little bit of a domino effect. And you see we now have moved Chris Ritter from 4th shift here at the high school to Swift Middle School. That, however, right now is not permanent because there is a bidding process that still will happen there to ensure that he stays there according to their contract. But we've just had to move a few people around. Also, as you know, and is on tonight's agenda, Ms. Swaby resigned from being the Director of Student Services. That was effective December 23rd. We have an interim director, which you also see on the agenda, that is only through the end of January. That is because the person that we are utilizing, Ms. Marna Murtha, is retired, and she and her family go to Florida February 1st. However, at this juncture, she was the best choice for us to be the interim director because I'm sure as many of you will recall, she has served several times over the years in that role, so it was a very easy transition because she knows our program, she knows our schools, she knows our administrators, our student services personnel, and so forth. So that even though we were only able to have her for this amount of time, it was still a good in between, and now we'll be moving forward, looking to post a position. We are trying to determine right now whether that would just be another interim for the time being, or we'll post the permanent position. And the reason for that is because, as you know, this is a difficult time of year to have someone come in. 1, and 2, just about anyone who would apply for the job will have some notice that has to be given to where they are, at a minimum usually of 30 days. And that depending, it could be as many as 90, depending on a person's individual contract as this level of an administrator. So right now we are working with Ms. Murtha, and we will make a decision soon about how to move forward with that, whether we just post the interim to get from here to the end of June, and then we post the permanent position in March, or we put our feelers out there with a permanent position now. Are there any questions on any of that for me, or any of the appointments that are here? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cardamola.
Oh, I'm sorry, if I may.
Please.
I remembered, because it was an easy date for me to remember, and I wanted to congratulate Mr. Lambert, because tonight is actually his 11th year on the board. It feels like we just recognized you for 10 years, but in reality, tonight marks the anniversary of 11 years for Mr. Lambert on the board, and I just wanted to say thank you again for what you do for us and the amount of time and effort and work that you put into 11 years on this board. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that. Dr. Cardamola was the first to bring that to my attention recently, and we kind of just sat with that for a minute. 11 years of being 100% dedicated to the school district and the students in it. It is a huge accomplishment. I'm so glad that we have kept you for this long. We haven't done anything that would make you feel otherwise about being involved. So congratulations on 11 years. Thank you for your service. We're not ordering another pin, though.
You gotta make it to 20 years.
You gotta
You
make
want
it
another
to 20,
pin.
maybe 15. Thank you. We've come to our first round of public participation. Item K, do any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? Last chance, do any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, the chair report. On December 29th, 2016, the State of Connecticut Office of Policy and Management issued a letter announcing $20 million in mid-year cuts to the 2016-2017 Education Cost Sharing Grant. It's estimated that the town of Watertown will lose just over $123,000 in state education aid this year. I hope that the public will join me in urging the governor to restore this funding. These cuts are scheduled to take effect immediately and will result in diminished educational opportunities for all students who attend public schools. CAPS, the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents Executive Director, stated that while we are aware of the difficult budget situation for Connecticut right now, pulling the fiscal rug out from under 169 municipalities is no way to conduct business. It's critical to ensure that programs and services that have long been planned for be continued and continue to be planned for. The Connecticut Association of Boards of Education Executive Director Bob Rader stated that ECS has always been considered a moral contract between the state and school districts. All districts receive funding as representation of the state's responsibility to all students, no matter where they live. Some of the cuts to school districts were so large that they call into question whether the moral contract really still exists. Watertown Public Schools and the town of Watertown are true partners in educating our children. And we, like CABE and CAPS, understand the challenges that the Office of Policy Management has with respect to balancing the state's budget, as we address similar challenges every single year. The difference is our board, our town council, have firsthand knowledge of the impact of their decisions on our students and on our residents. The decision by Governor to cut aid will make it very difficult for the town. We as a board and as a community must be ready to engage in conversations with state elected leaders on the impact of the decision that was made on education and on the future lives of all public school students in our state. We must, together with our town council, CABE, and CAPS, call upon the governor to restore the ECS funding and urge the leaders to take every action necessary to protect our current and future education funding. On March 8th, 2017, I, along with some fellow Board of Ed members, will be attending the CABE Day on the Hill, where we will rally for public education. The morning will feature remarks by the leaders of the Connecticut General Assembly, briefings on how pending legislation can impact our school district, an education rally, and visits with legislators at the state capitol. For those of you who have not lobbied before, I can assure you that it is an experience worth having. I encourage all local officials and interested community members to contact me if they are interested in joining any of us on the Hill. Thank you. Moving on to item M, committee reports. Mrs. Rinaldi, Curriculum and Instruction.
Yes, Madam Chair, the committee met earlier this evening with a presentation from Mr. Jones of the Program of Studies at Watertown High School for the 2017-2018 school year. The committee will have a chance to review the Program of Studies, and we will review the Program of Studies, and we will discuss and vote at the January 23rd meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Rinaldi. Mr. Vicenzi, Policy and Labor.
No report.
Thank you. Budget and Finance, Mr. Lambert.
Yes, just a reminder, there will be a Budget and Finance Committee meeting January 31st at 6 p.m. at the Swift Middle School Library.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Back to you for Facilities and Operations.
No report at this time.
And Mr. Murkowski, Community and Governance. Governance and Community Engagement.
Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you. We will be having a committee meeting on February 13th at 6:30 in this room prior to the scheduled Board of Education meeting. Invite went out to all board members, so hope to see everybody there.
Thank you, Mr. Murkowski. Moving on to item N, Communications. Madam Secretary, do you have anything to share this evening?
Nothing to share.
Okay, thank you. Action items. Adoption of items to be approved by consent. The Watertown Board of Ed received from the Watertown Foundation a generous donation of $1,115 to go to John Trumbull Primary School Music Department for the purchase of drums We are extremely grateful for this donation, and it's recommended that we accept it. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve of the $1,115 donation generously given by the Watertown Foundation Incorporated to John Trumbull, Primary School Music Department, for the purchase of drums, and that a letter of appreciation be sent to the donor.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Item P, future agenda items and board member comments. Do any board members have future agenda items they wish to recommend, or any comments they wish to make at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to our last round of public participation. Any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? And seeing none, we will move on to item R. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We are adjourned.